Just currently working on a desk for my office for upstairs. It's a plywood desk. It's Baltic plywood, Baltic birch plywood. It's BB grade. I've got 24mm at the top, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 18mm with a 24mm in the middle. So effectively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of ply. Now the base, the underneath, is a solid piece. 1, 2, 3 layers in the middle are 50mm wide. They're just framed around, and then you've got the solid 24mm for the top. Temporarily, I've just, well, all these 1, 2, 3, 4 layers are glued, but then I've just screwed up to attach the top piece whilst I plane it, level it all off, sand it, and then like a rebate or a bevel around the top. I haven't decided yet what type of profile to finish the top and the bottom with, but when I get round to that, I'll produce that rebate along there and then remove the lid. Once I've removed the lid, the top layer, the 24mm layer, I'll be able to access the drawer mechanisms. And what I've got here is one of the runners for the drawers. It's a push to open, and then it's a soft close. So a decent runner. There's going to be 3 drawers. Only one there, one here, and the one here has got a bit of a dog leg here for the front, so that they're classed as secret drawers. So I'll just have, there'll just be a line running down here, a line running down here, and then I'll be able to just push that, drawer front opens, but as I said before, it's going to open with a slight dog leg here. So I've got the components here for making the drawer. I'm going to assemble it all now, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So these mitre clamps I've got here, before you use them, it's always a good idea to just scrape away the excess glue from the previous user or the previous use, because the previous user was me on this occasion. Scrape the bottom as well. Otherwise, if you don't get all these, if you don't clean all these, when you come to put your corner in there, it's not going to end up exactly 90 degrees, because there'll be a build up here. So it's going to be lifting up there, that'll lift up, you end up with 88 degrees. Also, if this base plate isn't cleaned either, you end up with a pile of PVA or whatever here. You can when you put the wood in there, it's going to end up in a bit of a slant there, with a, like, exaggerated there, but there's going to be a millimetre or so of PVA underneath. So just double check that that's nice and clean. I always use a chisel just to give it a good scrape till you get down to the metal, then it's good to go. When I did the drawings for these drawer sides, I made sure that the holes, there's a pilot hole already ready for me to attach the drawer rail easily, so that it's in line. There's not much tolerance underneath in between the 2 layers of the desk, the top and the bottom layer of the desk, so it's got to be accurate. So I thought I'll add these measurements onto the 2D design file before laser cutting. That way, when the drawer's assembled, all I have to do is just 1, 2, 3 screws in each runner before attaching it to the inside of the desk. So this is the drawer dry assembled, and as you can see, that's where the dogleg is, to sort of just resemble or contour the existing dogleg in the design of the desk. So it's all ready now. I just need to do a bit of sanding, just sand away any of the excess burn that the laser cutter has made from the edges of the cuts. So just get my sander in there now before it's all assembled. Otherwise I won't be able to get into the corners with my orbital sander. Before assembling also, what I did beforehand was I used the belt sander to get rid of all the burn and just ensure there's 2 layers here of 6mm, so I had to make sure that they were exactly level, because there was probably half a millimetre difference between the 2 layers. So I put them on the belt sander and then put a slight chamfer on either edge. So they just need neatening up now with a bit more of a gentle orbital sander, and that will get rid of some of the burn. So another thing I did was I labelled all the components of the drawers. So this is right front, or C front centre. So it's all ready now to start assembling. I'll just go and sand it now, sand away some of the burn, and then I'll get the mitre clamps ready. The PPE for when using the orbital sander, you want to ideally face mask and goggles, safety glasses or a dust mask, anything just to cover your nose and your mouth and your eyes really. It's always a good idea just to get your wood chisel and just give it a bit of a scrape inside of the finger joints there, just to make sure there's no glue in this corner, because if there is, it's going to hinder the flush fit when you come to add the other side. Okay, you want a nice tight fit. You don't want to have any gaps underneath here. So in order to get rid of those gaps, eliminate any unwanted gaps, you've got to just get the sharp part of the chisel, obviously, scrape the inside. So I'm just finishing off doing these little ones now. Get right in there. Should really be using a woodworking vise for this. Please make sure that you use a woodworking vise. Do as I say, not as I do on this occasion. Using these mitre clamps, make sure you've got 4, one for each corner. On this occasion I've got this dog leg here, so I'm going to leave the dog leg to last. I'm going to probably allow these 3 corners to set first. So before I start gluing, I've got the 2 mitre clamps here. I'm going to rest the front piece of the drawer so it's got the same height, equal height. So there's no leaning forward to have a uneven angle at the end here. Before I tighten this one up, I'm just going to look and see that this part of the shoulder here is sticking past the corner at least half a millimetre. I think half a millimetre is going to be quite a good guide. Just about half a millimetre like that. I'll just try and zoom the camera in so you can see that. So the shoulder here is sticking in there. Sticking out there just about half a millimetre. Okay. The reason I've done that is so that when I place this side panel on here, I can make sure it will ensure then that this panel, when I tighten this part of the mitre clamp up, this side panel will then push right against the shoulders of the front piece. So that's all lined up. I want to make sure before I glue it now, I want to make sure that the drawer rail is going to line up with these holes. If not, it means I've got it on the wrong way around. So always good to double check. Check twice, cut or glue once. So these are the screw holes here, and these are the screw holes here. Not sure if you can see them. So screw hole, 1, 2, 1, 2. So the glue I'm going to use, the PVA, is Gorilla Glue. It's a Gorilla wood glue, internal, external use, water resistant. It's a D3 grade, and it's got a handy little spout. It's like a spread. It's like a little applicator spout, which I found quite useful actually. So what we do with this is put the glue in there. Make sure you get it on the sides and on the bottom there. So make sure it goes on the sides. You can just turn the panel. Make sure the glue is spreading all around it. And then you're going to put some on here, this part as well. Just pretty quick before it starts dripping. Okay, now slide that in, tighten it up, and then you've just got to have a look to make sure that there isn't any gaps just there. Make sure it's in line. Make sure get your tri-square. I'm going to sit the tri-square here in a second, just to make sure that is square. Make sure the front's square, and then I'll go ahead and do the back piece. Okay, so here's the tri-square. Tell me that's level. And then if I check here, it's telling me that's level also. Okay, so here's the evidence that the glue does run down. The glue will end up sticking to this mitre clamp, and then the next time I use this, I'm going to have to scrape the clamp again. So you do have to watch that. It will happen every time. I'll probably just wipe it in a second. So I'm going to press pause in a second and do the back, add the back panel. So I'll set the mitre clamp up. Just see if the back panel slides in. Yep, slides in perfectly. I don't need to set this up any more than what it is, because I'm not going to be gluing this corner just yet. I'm just going to glue this corner. I've glued that one. I'm going to let them set, then I'll come back and do the other sides. So I've got more space then to do this dog leg. It's going to be probably a bit of an issue doing this dog leg here because the components are so small. I'm not going to get the use of using one of the mitre clamps. So we'll have to see what we can do when we get to that stage. They're quite